I want to welcome you to our study in the book of 2 Corinthians. Today we're starting in chapter 5, the first verse of chapter 5. Now, I've said this before, and I don't understand why they put the chapter breaks where they put them. I don't know if they say, you know what, you've got so many verses, 18 verses, now we need to have another chapter. I don't know how they did it. I probably could study it out and figure it out, but this seems to me that chapter 5 just follows right along with chapter 4. Because in chapter 5, the first verse, the Apostle Paul says, "For we know that if the earthly tent, which is our house, is torn down." What's he talking about? He's talking about the things that are temporal. We just finished yesterday talking about things that are eternal, things that are temporal. Now he's talking about our physical body. And he starts out by saying, he says, "For we know," in other words, the word know here is the Greek word eido, and it means to come to a perception, to come to an understanding. We have this understanding that our earthly tent is our house, which is our house, is torn down. Now, the earthly tent, what he's talking about our earthly dwelling. He's talking about our physical body, our earthly tent, which is our house. Now, it is our house. It's only our house for temporary, but it is our house. It is our dwelling place. How many of you know that if you get rid of your earthly tent, you're no longer dwelling on earth? And so it's important. Paul is not minimizing the importance of our earthly tent. But what he's trying to get us to understand is this is just an earthly tent. It is only temporary. For our earthly tent, which is our house, is torn down. Now, the Greek word torn down, it means to be dissolved, or it means to be disunited. How many of you know that our spirit men are going to leave this earthly tent? We are going to be disunited. The word here, actually, it's a verb, and it's in the aorist tense. It means that we have a full picture of it. In other words, this is something that started, but it's continuing on. We see it on into eternity. The Apostle Paul isn't telling us we're all going to die in the next 30 seconds, but he's saying in relationship to eternity, our earthly tent is being torn down. We are coming to the point, every one of us on the face of the earth is going to do one thing. We're going to die. Every one of us. If Jesus tarries, every one of us is going to die. That's what Paul is talking about. And so he says, our earthly tent, which is our house, is torn down. And then he says this, and this is something that should bring deep assurance and courage and faith to every believer. He says, we have a building from God. Now, I want us to take just a minute here and look. First, he's talking about a tent. How many of you know tents are temporal? Tents are something that you can pick up and you can move. Tents are just temporary. So he's bringing out this idea that our earthly tent is something that's only made for a certain period of time. But then he goes on and he says, our building. We have a building from God. Now, the word building, it means a structure. It means something that's actually a dwelling place. It has the Greek word has the Greek word okia in it, and it means a home, a dwelling place. Our dwelling place is structured. It's not going to move. It's a fact. We as believers, we have a dwelling place. Now, where is this dwelling place? Where does it come from? It comes from God. How many of you know God doesn't make mistakes? You know, when a house is built, chances are there's one or two mistakes in the house. Inspectors come through and they say, well, this electrical needs to be changed, or the plumbing needs to be changed, or whatever. Chances are there's some type of mistake. God doesn't make mistakes. And He builds us a house, a permanent dwelling place, a home. And we go on and we says, for we have a building from God, a house not made with hands. This is not a house that's been formed with hands. This is a house that we have in eternity. It's a house that God has built for us, a dwelling place for us to dwell with Him. And it's not made with hands. And then the Apostle Paul goes on and he says it's eternal in the heavens. It's eternal. It's eternal. It's not going to go away, but it's going to be there for all eternity. Brothers and sisters, let me say this. Please realize that this earthly tent is only temporary, but God's building something for you. He's the architect. He's the builder. He doesn't make mistakes. Not only that, but it is eternal, never ending, never finding an end. Now let's go on into verse number 2. For indeed in this house, now the word house there isn't in the Greek text. He's talking about this tent that we live in. For indeed we groan. What does he mean by groan? We are squeezed. We are distressed. We're in times where we're under pressure. This word groan many times it's translated as a sigh. Have you ever sighed like that? I know I have. Maybe the end of the day, maybe the end of a long trip, and you just go, well, Paul says, for indeed in this we groan, we sigh. But then he goes on, longing to be clothed with our dwelling from heaven. What's the sigh? Is the sigh out of frustration? No, this sigh is not a frustrated sigh. This sigh is a sigh of expectation. We are longing for, we're desiring, we are wanting to be. What are we wanting to be? What are we longing? We're longing to be clothed with our dwelling place in heaven. We're longing to put it on. We're longing to receive our new dwelling place. I hope that in depths of your spirit, man, there's a sigh. But this sigh is not coming out of frustration, but this sigh is coming knowing that you've got a new home waiting for you. Thank you for watching. Join us again next week as we continue our study in the book of 2 Corinthians.